Good afternoon and welcome to Seattle's Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Edwards, managing broker of the Eastside Real Estate Team. And it's a scary episode. It's October 30th, and we are talking politics and we are talking about the real estate market. So, what could get scarier? Well, today my costume is as a Northwesterner. I am just wearing cozy Northwest stuff. And we're going to jump in with our good friend Tucker, who has also got a nice plaid pattern, Northwest flannel pattern. So we're just like, I'm looking outside. It's rainy. It's cold. It is stereotypical Halloween week. Scary people out. Sometimes they're in costume. Sometimes they're not. But we are actually going to do a quick little analysis of the two candidates and their approach to the housing crisis that we're happening here. So let's run our mortgage moment bumper now. All right, Tucker, welcome to the show. And first off, before we get into the red hot topic of politics, let's just kind of give our listeners what is the snapshot Wednesday, October 30th, 2024 with interest rates.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Dan. There's been a lot of questions surrounding this, going back to the Fed cutting rates. I think that's the first thing that we should just address one last time, that I know we've talked about it multiple times. The Fed, the Federal Open Market Committee, does not control home loan rates. So they did in fact cut rates, which is the overnight rate between banks. But contrary to a lot of people's belief, home loan rates have actually gone up. And so we're sitting today right around 7%. And again, we're cautious with that because these are viewed down the road. So on October 30th, we're right around 7%. And the reason for that is not only is the Fed controlling home loan rates, but we're really watching economic data. And the economic data that came out in early October really kind of told the story that the economy was slowing and rapidly slowing. What we're now seeing is that might not actually be accurate, especially like with the jobs number that came out today. Is we're seeing that the economy is still doing very well. The economy continues to create jobs. We may not be out of the dark on inflation yet. And so that's what's actually caused home loan rates to actually tick back up.
Yeah, so the economy moving forward, low unemployment, that drives the stock market. The stock market, when it is moving in that positive direction, people pull their money out of the bond market. Is that right? So therefore, in order to try and draw people back into the bond market, they raise the returns in those bonds, which raises interest rates. I know that's a simplification, but I think it's fairly astute. Yes.
It's perfect. You couldn't have said it, at a more simpler way, but a really easy way to digest is it's the competition. If you have $1 and you're going to put it in A, the stock market, or B, bonds, you're going to put it to whatever is going to grow the fastest.
So essentially, we need the stock market to crash in order to low real interest rates. Is that right?
Well, we definitely don't need to be setting the records that we're setting.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a weird thing because, we've been talking since at least February that there's an imminent, correction in the stock market, and yet it keeps going. It's just, there's I guess, economics is a theoretical science, just like climate change and politics. Like you can put something out there, but you just don't know what's going to happen in real life. There are just so many variables. I think, which is why most buyers should not time the market. They shouldn't be trying to figure out exactly when. They should just find what they're looking for. And when the market favors them with regards to interest rates, recast your loan.
Exactly.
Recast your loan. So cool. All right, let's get on the hot button topic. The Kamala administration versus the Trump administration, when it comes to what they say their plans would be for fixing the housing crisis. What's your analysis?
Yep, exactly. So looking at both of their campaigns, and they're surprisingly fairly close together. Like one thing they both agree on is that we have an inventory shortage, that we have to create housing, and there's an affordability question. So I think that's one thing that they see eye to eye on, and I think we all can agree. And so starting with Donald Trump, so starting with what his kind of approach is, he's really kind of focused on reducing regulatory barriers and encouraging private sector solutions. So really trying to get builders to be able to build quicker without all the red tape and going through all of the permitting and all of these things, and lands you can build on and you can't build on, and you can build this size home and not this size home and so forth. But just kind of getting the government out of the way so that the private market can just build what they think is appropriate.
Well, and Tucker, let's take an example of where we see that actually working in the industry right now. Middle housing, which is a big catchphrase here in Washington State. Middle housing has been accelerated by the streamlining process of, and just let me explain for everybody listening what middle housing is it's kind of like being able to increase the density on single family properties in urban areas like Seattle, Everett, Linwood, Washington, to where there's this streamlined process where they remove the need for all of the preliminary studies. And basically all you need is a building permit, and you can put one of these, I think they have 15, 20, 30 different floor plans that are pre-permitted. So you're not having to go to the permit process. So it really, that's an example of removing all the regulatory, constraints and incentivizing builders to find these spots and then go and build properties. Any more you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, no, exactly. The other thing that he's proposing is actually giving up federal lands to be built on, whereas they've protected lands across the country. And he's saying, one, it's extremely costly for them to manage that land, but also we're running out of land. So that point is increasing density because there's really nowhere else to go. But if we can remove some of these barriers to land that isn't currently being allowed to be built on, could allow for more homes.
Yeah, I think there's a smart way to do it because, we a lot of the reasons why those lands are protected is because we just didn't want urban sprawl and ruining our green spaces. And I know Tucker and I are both Northwesterners. We love the mountains. He climbs them. I look at them, and the reality is, man, we can build some sweet neighborhoods in the forests, in the mountains, in the areas that are smart, durable, designed to withstand storms. You put the stuff underground, you add nuclear, you add geothermal heat. You can do all of those things, and you can do it easier when you do it from the ground up than when you try to retrofit everything. Okay, so what's Kamala's plan with regards to her stuff?
Yeah, so one thing that she's trying to address is the down payment hurdle for first-time homebuyers. So she's proposing a $25,000 homebuyer grant for first-time homebuyers. So kind of similar to what Obama did. He had a homebuyer grant, I think it was $8,000 that he provided to just help them over that initial barrier. So that's kind of point one. Next is she's trying to incentivize builders to build a more affordable home. So she's trying to get them to address the starter home concept, whereas it's been tough around here. We have new construction, but if the price point's 1.2 million and above, that really limits your first-time home buyers from being able to buy those. So she's trying to say, what can we do from a tax incentive perspective for builders to build an entry-level home?
Yeah, and I think one way that we see her policies in example is Washington State. We have the Washington State Housing Finance Commission, which does up to $40,000. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and the Covenant program even up to $150,000.
Yeah, so on a state level, we have two of those things that are positively impacting. My concern there, my con on that one is it actually increases demand. Right. So going to the second thing that you were mentioning is incentivizing builders to build more affordable housing. And I feel like, it's a market decision, because if you're a builder and you're given, 40,000 acres and you can put, 200 $1.2 million homes, or you can put, 400 $500,000 homes. I think that there's a cost analysis that comes into play, and some builders are just not going to want to do that, which is why then you need the government to subsidize it. I'm just not a huge fan of government subsidies because, then you're moving a new lever, and it creates the market-driven approach is my preference. But I think we've outlined it. Is there anything else that she's proposed?
No, she's just trying to add 3 million new units. That's the number she keeps talking about. So just adding to the inventory. But Dan, you're exactly right. It's not that the builder doesn't want to build a more affordable home. It's just when it comes to turning a profit or even covering their cost, if you look at lumber costs and labor costs, you can't build a $350,000 home in Seattle and
No.
even be able to afford to build that with the cost of labor and materials.
No, you're right. It's definitely a challenge in our market because of the lack. But everything changes with supply. Everything changes. It can be Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego. If you look at the places that have balanced supply, you will see a softening of the price. I think based on where we're going to go from, maybe the next 5 to 10 years on affordability, is we're probably, before we see prices fall, which I don't think we'll see wages increase. Because now we've hit that inflation mark. You can't have deflation. You can't just start devaluing the dollar, because that causes all kinds of problems. So most likely what you'll see is wages have to increase because people are demanding more for their money. And if they demand more for their money, more for their work, they're demanding more for their work. That kind of then makes them that adjusts the affordability factor, because you're now, instead of, you've got more pay coming in. So, but there is a messy middle in that, that there are some jobs that you just can't demand more for, right? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Yep.
good discussion.
The one other thing that people keep asking you, or we keep talking about too, is looking at, what happens to home prices after elections. And one thing we know for sure is home prices will continue to rise. So regardless of who wins this election, we can all pretty much count on that home prices are going to go up.
Yeah. I know we talked earlier before we started the show that we've got people that are kind of like, well, we just want to wait and see. Yeah, the truth is that those things are going to have who gets elected will have a minuscule impact on where prices go. It's the supply that's driving everything. So awesome. Great discussion. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to actually do the Real Talk segment where we're going to talk about September's scary numbers. So come back after this short commercial.
You take your car to the shop to check under the hood to make sure everything is working properly. You take your body to your doctor every 6 months for a checkup to ensure you're healthy. You get your teeth cleaned at the dentist often. Okay, well, maybe not often. But what are you doing to make sure your house is staying in tip-top shape? At Key Inspection Services, we value quality, expertise, and education above all else. We inspect all types of homes of any size and age, whether you are buying or selling, or just wanting to learn more about your current home. Our services are designed to be a one-stop shop for all homeowner needs. We offer sewer scopes, air quality testing, mold testing, infrared scans, and more. Whether we are reaching new heights on a roof, traversing the trenches of a crawl space, or having a crappy day scoping your sewer, no pun intended, we strive to give you the best service possible. As the #1 home education and inspection company in the Puget Sound region, our goal is to ensure that you are more knowledgeable about your biggest asset at the end of the day. You can easily book online at www.keyinspectionservices.com or give us a call at 800-748-8766.
All right, welcome back to our Real Talk segment. We basically are looking at the numbers for total active, total pending sales, kind of the market statistics for September. So I know we're almost at the end of October. Last couple of weeks were real busy for me. We should have probably got this sooner, but this is some interesting change that we have seen as we're going into what is seasonally a slowdown period. And so some of the things I want to point out is in King County in September, we had an increase of listings of just under 40%, pending listings up 17%, and sold listings kind of even with the previous year. And we had talked about this maybe before, that it felt like a pretty slow year. Hey, Tucker, did you know that this was they predict it to be the slowest year in real estate sales since 1995? Did you know that?
I did not. No. Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily feel like that to me. But when you look at the nationwide numbers, that's what we're talking about. So, in this area, I think it's more like 10 years, the slowest amount of volume in 10 years. But nationwide, it's 15. I saw that on the Wall Street Journal. So here's the interesting thing. So we've got increase of inventory, increase in pending listings. But like Tucker and I just said in the last segment, look at what the median home price did in King County. It still went up 7.9%. That's a great piece of appreciation. Now, the one thing that I will show here is the days on market. This is a metric that we use for the heat of a market. Is when a market is between 4 to 5 months of, that's not days on market. That's months of inventory. Actually, I need to fix that. So months of inventory is 2.7, not days on market. So that's a typo. So what that means is if no new homes come on the market, then in 2.7 months, you're out of inventory. That's one of the highest numbers we've seen in a couple of years. So that is moving us more towards a buyer market. And what we're seeing in general in all of King County is that creates opportunities for buyers. What kind of opportunity can you do with that, Tucker?
Well, you can ask for seller contributions to closing costs. You can negotiate on price, which we're seeing.
Yeah. So seller concessions that can help offset your interest rate, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Let's go to the next slide. I can't believe I put days on market on all those. That's really dumb. Okay. Let's see. So total active listings on the east side, 30% increase in active listings. So not quite as much as all of King County. Pending listings were up 15%. Sold listings up about 3%. Median home price up 7.9% at 1.350 with 2.17. So the east side market is a little bit warmer than the all of King County. Let's also take a look at Snohomish County. Snohomish County, 25% up. Pending listings only 4.3, so not as robust of a change of movement. Sold listings up 6%. Median home price 5.10 percent to 715, and our months of inventory here is 1.62. So the interesting thing is there seems to be a little less activity in Snohomish County than King County and on the east side. Also, though, less activity is also less listings. So sellers are kind of staying put, buyers are kind of doing their thing. So it does still keep it tight so that if you were a would-be buyer in the Snohomish County area, it may be a little more difficult to get seller concessions because it's still a little bit more of a seller's market. And I think it really does depend on the location, the type of the home, et cetera, et cetera. Anything to add there?
No, the one thing I've noticed is that you don't want to sleep on a listing. Like if you see something you like, it still makes sense to have somewhat of a sense of urgency because as you alluded to, our market isn't as slow as other places around the country. And it might be, a 30-year, lowest year ever other places. But I've had clients where they've kind of kicked the tires on a property thinking they have a lot of time, and then offers came in, even multiple offers. And so I feel like we still have to, realize that it's a hot enough market that you have to have a sense of urgency.
Yeah, I think that again, it comes back to the conversation about timing the market. It's like, well, will everything be better then, or will things be different there? And really, if you find something that checks the majority of your boxes on your want list, your wants and needs list, move forward. Don't hesitate. I think last we have Pierce County, which I don't spend a lot of time in Pierce County, but take a look at this. Total active listings up 37%, pending listings 16%. So it's pretty decent activity in Pierce County. So sellers should have some movement. And then again, only 6% median home price appreciation. But hey, look at where the affordability is. It's down in Pierce County. So we more than happy to connect you with an agent down there that can help you find what you're looking for. And it looks like there's some months of inventory, so you could get some concessions as well. So it should be a good spot to consider. If you are looking for a little bit more affordability. Of course, commuting into Seattle might be a problem, but I do know that we have the Sounder train, which gets you right into downtown Seattle. So you can hop on the train and go from there. All right. So that concludes our Real Talk segment. Now it's a day in the life of the Northwest. What are you up to this weekend?
Yeah, so really excited. Brett Goldstein is at the Paramount this weekend, and he's Roy Kent from Ted Lasso doing stand-up comedy. So
nice.
Pretty excited about that.
Is he a stand-up comedian?
He is. Yeah, it's funny. He's not typically an actor. He was one of the writers of Ted Lasso, and he presented the part of Roy Kent, and so that they could go out and find an actor for it. And they're like, no, sorry, Brett, this is you. You play it well. And so he just fit it perfectly. So I was really excited about that. And then you have both the Sounders and the Seahawks in action on Sunday.
Seahawks in action. I'm not sure I want to see that again, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, big game against the Rams. We'll see.
Yeah, after last weekend, they had better show up. I was absolutely. What's the theater you said at Paramount? Paramount.
Yep.
I actually this last weekend went to the Everett Theater and watched a comedy show, and it was fantastic. They once a month, I think they bring in a comedian, and cute little venue, not super expensive, but fun time. So
very good. What are you up to this weekend?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
That's nice.
I haven't really planned it. Actually, I've got some clients we're showing homes on Saturday, so Sunday I'll probably do my recharge day. So yeah. So
Very
cool.
good. And I did see that Crystal got a foot, or Snoqualmie got a foot of snow on the top of Alpental last night. So the snow is falling, the snow level is coming down. So
yeah, it was cold this morning. I went for my walk this morning. I was like, "Ooh, dang, it's chilly. We're hitting the winter time." So get your skis all waxed up or your board waxed up. Awesome. Right. Tucker, thanks so much for your content. I thought it was super great. Voters edition of the Seattle Real Estate podcast. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Let's see. Let me find my outro here. I think I can go end stream, set outro video, and let me find it. I'm just automating this now. So forever and always, we just do it this way. Come on, click. I don't know if it's why it's not working. Try that one more time. Hey, the suspense is killing us.
Yeah. Spooky.
Outro is spooky, scary. Outro. Cancel. I guess it won't work that way. So